I cannot believe October is over and November is here. So let's talk about some things I read this month and let me know what you read this month in the comments. So the first thing I read a lot of was an app called Open Evidence. So if you're a medical provider and you haven't started using Open Evidence yet, I highly recommend it. So this is an AI generated app that you just need an NPI number to use. And it takes all of the peer-reviewed data that is out there and helps get it into a concise manner. So it's like having a really great librarian at your fingertips. And so you put in a topic and it does give you an AI synopsis. I find sometimes that can lead you astray, like all AI can. So as medical providers, we need to do our due diligence. But what it does is it gives you a list of multiple different resources and then asks you follow-up question. So would you also like to take this next step? So it allows you to dig deeper and deeper and deeper into a topic. And sometimes the questions that it asks you, you weren't expecting, and it allows you to dig a little bit deeper into a topic than maybe you wouldn't have before. I use it as for research in a lot of my videos, as well as just in general with my patients and clinical questions that I have. And it's been really, really helpful. You can also get CME for it. And unlike Up to Date, right now it's free. So if you haven't started using it, highly recommend it. I have learned so much through using Open Evidence. So as long as you're using it appropriately and not just reading the AI part, I think it can also be another added thing to our CME on a regular basis. The next book that I read this every October, is The Hour of the Witch. The Hour of the Witch is a book written by an author, Chris Bohjalian. And if you like historical fiction, if you like, New England Pilgrim type books, it's really good. Obviously, we know what happens with a lot of the witch trials during that time period, but this is kind of an interesting take from a young woman who is going through this herself. I will tell you, I usually find this book more enjoyable than I did this year, and I think it's just because of our current state of the world. A lot of the themes as they're talking about it, I found myself getting a little bit anxious and angry when I was reading it, but it is a great book, and if you're interested in that time period, I think you'll really like this book. The next book was actually by Chris Bohjalian as well. I found it in a thrift store. I've never read it before, which is The Buffalo Soldier. And it was such a great book. It was really slow going. And then boom, it hits you with this huge emotion at the end. And I love books like that where you kind of didn't expect it, you didn't see it coming. And it's not that the plot was so twisty, it was just you didn't expect the emotional pull that it got you at the end. It's a really great book. It's talking a lot about grief as well as foster care, different racial relations. It's a good book. So if you're interested in that type of book, you will really like it. The next one is Andy Weir's Project Hail Mary. And I have been listening to this again. I enjoy listening to this one. I don't know who it is that does the audiobook for him, but it's really, really good. And they're making this book into a movie. And so I wanted to listen to it again because it's one of my favorite books of all time. And I'm not a huge science fiction person, but because of these books, I find myself wanting to read more. If you liked The Martian, that was another one of his books that they made into a movie with Matt Damon. They're making this into a movie with Ryan Gosling, and I cannot wait. It is such a good book. I never expected to love a book about an alien, but it is so good. The next one is The Georgetown Ladies Social Club, and this is another book I found in a thrift store. I found that I really like going to thrift stores these days. The books that people get, I think it's so interesting to see what books people in my community have been reading. And this one was super interesting. And it's true, it's written by journalists, but it's about how the garden parties in Washington, D.C. are some of the places where the biggest deals in Washington are held. And the most powerful people are actually the women throwing these parties. It was super, super interesting. If you're interested in politics at all, you would really, really like it. The next one is the Carnegie's Maid. Sorry, I forgot where I was going. Carnegie's Maid by Marie Benedict. I am a huge historical fiction fan, especially when you take something really real that happened and create this elaborate story around it centered around women. So if you really like feminist historical fiction, you will love Marie Benedict. So Carnegie's Maid is about the philanthropist and, multi-millionaire, he would have been a billionaire now, Andrew Carnegie. And if you know the story of Andrew Carnegie, you know that he was just a massive, massive entrepreneur and business person in the United States during the industrial era. And he amassed a huge, huge fortune. And he was pretty known for being really shrewd, seemed to only care about money and capitalism. And then all of a sudden, boom, he started giving away all of his money. And when he died, he had nothing. He's the one who gave us Carnegie Mellon University. Our first libraries were by Andrew Carnegie. And so this is a book about how maybe this happened. So that she created a story around this person to show you how he might have been influenced by the people in his life to get him to come to this place. And it's such a good book. So those are the things that I have been doing this month and reading. Let me know what you've been reading. Take care.